All right, welcome back to another episode of the Legacy Launch Podcast. I'm your host, Ian Brown. All right, today we are going to talk about why us as Christian military dads have great benefits, but we seem to always be struggling financially. So I'm pretty sure if you've been in the service for any time, you've always heard that when somebody gets out, they're like, hey, I want to retire and I'm going to get double paychecks. I'm going to get a job as a contractor where I'm going to be getting my military retirement, and then I'm also going to get my contractor pay. And so that is typically our aspiration to do 20 years, retire. And of course, you want to get high as you can in the rank. But if you really think about it at its base, is by us saying that we, we want a double retirement and that we're going to continue working another 9 to 5 job as a contractor, that's already insinuating subconsciously that we realize that the money we're going to be making in retirement, if we were to live paycheck to paycheck like everybody else, is insinuating that it's not going to be enough money for us to survive. But I want to give you a different way of perspective is that you, as somebody in the military, you have so many benefits that others do not have, and you have the chance to easily come out a millionaire within 10 years of doing it right. And you could be a multi-millionaire. You did the whole 20. If you did the 30, I mean, yeah, you really don't have to work again in your life if you did things correctly. And so I'm going to break it down for you. So, military blessings, they are definitely, or sorry, military benefits, they are definitely a blessing, but they're not a substitute for stewardship or oversight or lack of planning and lack of leadership inside your home. What that means is that, yes, we get benefits and they're a blessing and they give us more opportunities than the average person. However, if you are not leading your home and making sure that you are capitalizing on all of these benefits so they actually are beneficial, then you're not really going to go anywhere. So, if you really think about it, right? Military families, we get steady income. And of course, with the exception of me being in the Coast Guard and having to deal with all this nonsense of the government shutdown. But throughout it, even though I didn't know where my paycheck was coming from, I did get paid. So at least I have that going for me. And it's more than what people can say on the civilian side when someone could literally just show up the next day and say, you're not a good fit for us, you're fired. Military, they can't do that. There's a big, long process to get somebody out of the military. It takes a long, extended uh, period of time in order to do that. But so we have our BAH, we have healthcare, we got retirement options, we got our SGLI, which is the single group life insurance. We have TSP, which is our thrift savings plan. We got tax advantages where our spouses, if they are in a state that they're not a resident of because they had to move there because of your military orders, well, their income is tax free from that state. So that's great. It's basically exempt from taxes. That's amazing, right? Um, and then we got a lot of job stability compared to many people. But here's an uncomfortable question for you. Why are so many of us folks in the military always financially stressed, living paycheck to paycheck, carrying lots of debt, and unsure of our family's future? Well, that's because benefits do not replace leadership. So I'm going to talk directly to military dads. This podcast is ideally for it's meant for those of us that are of the faith, Christian military dads. However, this is for everyone. and it's inclusive information. If you're in the military, you can use it. So you can be a good provider and still lack a plan. So you can love your family and still be underprepared. You can have benefits and still be underutilizing them. And you can make a decent amount of money while still feeling like every month is a financial emergency. So I'm not saying this from a place of judgment because I have been there. I am saying this because many of us were trained to lead missions or manage people, stand watch, deploy, move our families, carry responsibility, but we were never trained to build wealth, protect our assets, understand risk, or create a plan to leave a legacy for our children. So our children don't have to live the same type of lifestyle we did. Even if it's a great lifestyle, you always have a goal or should have a goal for the next generation to live a more lavish lifestyle. The Bible says that a wise man leaves his children inheritance. But same way how you have to lead yourself financially, you also have to lead them financially so they know how to handle their finances and don't just waste it, squander it. All right, let's go into some biblical foundation. Luke chapter 12, verse 48. To whom much is given, much will be required. That verse should make every man pause, right? So God has entrusted us with income. He's entrusted us with leadership, families, benefits, influence, and responsibility. That Bible verse also says, like further in depth, that somebody who basically is given a lot has a lot of responsibility, especially if they know what they're supposed to do and they don't do it. That person will be held accountable to the fullest. But it says, yeah, somebody who has a little bit more but isn't aware of how they should be stewarding it or taking care of it, they're just they got a little responsibility. And then it tells us that the more wealth we build and the more influence that God gives us, the more responsibility we have to use it correctly. So the issue is not whether we've been given something, but the question is whether what we're doing with that. Next verse, Proverbs 21:5. Proverbs 21:5 says that good planning and hard work lead to prosperity, but hasty shortcuts lead to poverty. So I'm going to tell you, on this day and age with YouTube, TikTok, and a lot of people claiming to be financial experts and different things of that nature, but they're not. They just made a video to get clicks, likes, and you go all the way to the end of the video, you do what they say, and it doesn't work, right? That's because that is a quick way of doing things, right? It says here in this Bible verse, hasty shortcuts lead to poverty. So that's the way you should filter out all the YouTube videos. Somebody's telling you something is a get rich quick scheme or something of that nature. You need to basically turn from that channel because it's going to lead to poverty. And the reason why I can tell you from my own personal experience of doing things like this, trying all these different things, the trends, is that it leads to poverty because you end up paying money to do these things. And I tell you what, I have spent at least about 10 grand in my own past doing things and doing exactly and it not working out anything like they said it would, and my money being gone. And so part of why I wanted to create my company, my business, is we're going to lead with integrity. We're going to do things the right way. I tell you what, I'm going to be telling you, it is not a get rich quick scheme. It requires hard work and effort on your end. But good news for you. The model of my business is you got two ways of doing it. I can give you the information and then you do it, and then we can meet up and you can show me what you did and I give you feedback, or you can save yourself the trouble and I do all the work for you. But how we started off is first, of course, with a financial analysis and see where you're at and all that stuff. But back to the verse, good planning and hard work lead to prosperity. So if you want to be prosperous, it's going to cause you some work. We've been working hard our whole military career. Hard work is nothing that's new to us. I mean, we've gone plenty of like 24, 48 hours with just a few hours of sleep, falling in between when you can, getting a few meals here and there, uh, doubling on caffeine, MREs, the no dos, all those things that terrible for your body. They keep us awake. And so here's one thing for you, man. Budget, it's not bondage. It's not meant to be a pain. Uh, and the way we're going to do our budgets is not going to be a pain. It's going to be simple. A budget is very simple. It should be simple. You want to know how many assets you have, basically how much money you have, things that you could sell right now if you needed to, or things that are building you money versus liabilities, things that are taking money out of your pocket. Depending on how you're doing things, a house can be an asset if it is growing and it has been well maintained. If you get a house that's not well maintained in a bad area and things of that nature, it can become a liability because now it's going to be impossible for you to get rid of it. Financial plan is not about fear. Estate planning is not about negative thinking. I'll tell you, I avoided looking at a lot of things dealing with death in the state just because death is uncomfortable. And let me tell you, for another day, when my mom died, my whole world fell apart. And financially speaking, oh man, I learned so many lessons. That's why I started my company, because what my family went through, I don't want anybody else to have to go through that. Insurance is not about being paranoid. And I can tell you right now, your SGLI is not enough. Because one thing that I will talk about in the future is that a group life insurance is attached to a job. So that means no job, no insurance. And the VGLI, the variable group life insurance, it's such a ripoff that you won't even be able to afford it by the time you get older and you actually need it. We'll talk about that later on too, different episodes. Being investing is not about being greedy. It's about building wealth for your family. And debt elimination is not punishment. You're not punishing yourself as you get rid of debt and eating ramen noodles. I only say this because us as Christians too, we have been raised with a stigma that, oh, the money is evil. See, that's a Bible verse that's misquoted. It says the love of money is the root of all evil. So it is a love of money that drives people to do evil things, not money itself. So if you love money, that's your first love, oh yeah, then you're going to be doing a lot of evil things to get it. You may take some shortcuts. You may sacrifice your integrity to get it. Our first love should be Christ. Everything else comes after that. Next up. All right, so benefits can create a false security. Military benefits can create the illusion that we are automatically financially secure, but benefits only help you if you understand how they're to be used. So, good example, SGLI, like stated, it's helpful, but it's not enough for most families. It's 500,000, and of course, that's why you're in the service. And the thing you got to think about it is, right? If you are young, this is especially for you. If you are young and you just joined the service and you have SGLI and you have a family, the younger you are, the more you need to buy your life insurance now. And here's why. You're thinking down the road, say, like you don't have kids. You're thinking, oh, I don't need it. I'll get it when I have kids. Okay, so if you're 20, your health is one of the things that they take into consideration when they do life insurance quotes and how much you're going to pay, how much you're going to get, etc. The younger you are, the better the prices you're going to get. The older you are, the worse the price you're going to get. It's just that simple. So, like, I know people like myself, I got my life insurance outside of the military when I was 26, and I only pay $33 a month for my policy, and I have another $500,000 policy in addition to the military, and it's locked in. It'll never go up. So I pay $33 a month, and that's when I was in my 30s. And of course, I got a good company I got it from. That's just a good example. Like, you got to think long term. Thrift savings plan. It's powerful, but only if you contribute. Most people, they join the service, they hear about the blended retirement system, they say, "Oh, cool, the Coast Guard or military is going to give me a 5% match on my contributions," but they fail to realize the key word is contribution. If you don't put money in, the military is not going to give you any money. You have to contribute, participate in order for this to happen. I see it all the time, especially people come from boot camp, come from A school, showing up. They haven't started anything. No one taught them how to do that. Even though they offer it to you in boot camp, no one takes advantage of it, right? Your BAH, your basic allowance for housing. It helps with housing, but it's not a guarantee that your home is affordable. And I can tell you a good example. I live in the Hampton Roads area. For an E8, I'm talking about it as an E8, as a senior chief, somebody who's been a long time, senior enlisted member, high ranking. I was only getting 2,499 a month. That's not enough to afford a house for a family of my size. For example, I got a family of five. So, of course, I had to pay out of pocket. All right. So then it was about getting the best house I could within my budget and not dwindling on that and getting something that I can't afford. You know, when you live in California, depending on where you live at, it may be able to afford it. Ideally, you want that's if you do it smartly. If ideally your BH would cover your monthly amount of mortgage. I know a lot of people it works out for. Unfortunately, in my area where I'm at, it ain't enough. So, healthcare, of course, that helps, but it does not build emergency savings. There are certain things that are elective that the TRICARE will not pay for. You're stuck paying for it. So if you want it, you better have the money for it. You know, that's something that a lot of people don't think about. Like eye surgeries, you got to qualify for it, right? If you don't qualify for it, it's about like $6,000 out in the economy to do some things. Steady income helps, but I think it actually reinforces bad spending patterns because we know that we're going to get our next paycheck. So we tend to just like, oh, I'll be good. And you just spend foolishly. And then when you get to where I'm at in life, where I'm getting ready to retire from the military, then you're like, oh crap, I need to hurry up and save. I need 6 months of income because the VA is slow as molasses, and the government shutdown this year made everything 6 months behind. So I may not get my real paycheck from the VA for a year. Something for you to think about. Man, all right. We can go all day with this, but so let's start wrapping this up. So this is how we're going to handle it. So if you're tired of struggling, number one, we're going to come up with a written plan. No more reacting month to month. You're going to write down all your bills, see where your money's going, see what money's coming in. No more lifestyle creep. Promotions often increase spending instead of savings or investing. More money, more problems. Biggie said it, right? The more money you get with the promotion, the more money you tend to spend foolishly. So instead of taking that extra amount of $300 extra a month you're getting, which is a great raise, you get that like with a promotion, and you get it every 2 years, depending on whether Congress wants to give us a 1% or 2% raise. And you can get a raise via BH just by moving to a more expensive area. Number three, we're going to stop normalizing debt. Stop buying cars just to look a certain way or feel a certain way and go into debt and be ruining your future. Stop using credit cards. Stop taking out personal loans to buy things that you don't have the cash for. Let's get rid of the whole stigma of buy now and pay later. It's not normal. Man, I could go so in this could be like an eternal podcast talking about this stuff. I get so fired up, but I'm going to keep going because we're going to go into depth in future podcast episodes. I'm going to start trying to do um, some daily nuggets. We'll have the podcast main episodes like this come out once every 4 days, but try to drop some nuggets every day. We'll call them like some shorts. All right, number 4, not having an emergency fund. Even with steady income, one repair, one permanent move, PCS, family event or crisis, can crush you. Which is why, even though we make plenty of money, the military folks we're always taking out those no interest loans from Coast Guard Mutual Assistance or Navy Federal, etc. 5, lack of protection planning. Most of y'all do not have enough life insurance. You haven't updated your beneficiaries. You don't have wills. You don't have trusts. You don't have power of attorney, clear instructions. So if you do have money invested, etc., there's no guarantee that if you die, that your family's going to get it because you don't have them listed appropriately. And we're going to work on that. Number 6, a lot of us don't have a wealth building system. Money goes in, money goes out, but nothing is directed in assets. And then number 7, a lot of us have a spiritual disconnect. We say with our mouth that God owns it all, but we often manage our money as if we're just trying to survive. And so, as men, especially military men, we often think providing means making sure the bills are paid. But biblical provision is bigger than paying bills. It's about leadership. It's about foresight, looking in the future, you can't see in the future, but planning for a future. The Bible says that the wise man plans, but it's God who directs his path. So we can plan, and we want to plan, but God will adjust our path. Um, yeah, it's all about protection. It's all about discipline, taking these things in the military that we have and utilizing them in our family. We can lead a shop of a platoon of people, lead a department, a division of folks, 30 people, etc. But then we don't lead our house because, oh, I'm not even gonna start on that. But yeah, man, you gotta make sure your wife and your kids are not left exposed because you refuse to plan. I see it all the time. A provider pays for today. A leader prepares for tomorrow. All right, and last but not least, I'm just going to tell you what I do, and everything I'm telling you is, uh, I believe that military people and families, we don't need another random money tip. What you need is a financial overhaul, right? I'm pretty sure if you look all around the internet, you see like, outfit haul, suit, haul, etc. People putting on different clothes, trying them, showing them, etc. like that. Well, we need to do an overhaul. Basically, has to do with just revamping and turning it upside down and flipping it and making it better, right? So a lot of people, when they do these hauls, they're improving their wardrobe. Well, we're about to do the same thing with the money. And here's what it looks like. All right, so the overhaul basically takes a good look and we get a full picture of your income. We get a full picture of your debt, how much money you got coming in a month, how much emergency funds do you have. I evaluate, do you have insurance? I evaluate your investments, see where you're at. Evaluate your TSP, see how much money you have saved so far for retirement. We look into estate planning, which basically preparing to pass this on to our beneficiaries and our family if God forbid something happened to us. Making sure you got your beneficiaries updated, We look at family goals because each family has their own goals on where they want to put their money. And then we create a legacy vision, basically based on your family goals. I'm going to help you create a vision for future families um, in generations to come within your family. And then I'm going to help you also with accountability and execution. I'm going to hold you accountable and guide you to completing what you said you're going to do. Because let me tell you, you can watch YouTube all day, which I used to do too, and not do anything with it. That does you no good. You're just taking the knowledge, no application. This is all about application, what we're doing. So here's your next step. Before this week is over, I want everyone that's listening to this to sit down and answer these 5 questions. Number one, where is your money going every month? When I did my first financial need analysis, I realized that I was spending about $2,000 out of the $8,000 I was getting a month on eating out. But yeah, I want to be like, oh man, I'm so stressed. I don't know. We only got a few dollars until the next paycheck. Well, that's why, because spending it foolishly on Chipotle, Kava, all this stuff here, that's where my money was going, right? So once I realized that, I was able to dial it back, and ta-da, oh my gosh, I had like $1,000 left every month just sitting there. It's amazing. Number two, what you're going to do, you're going to find out what debt is slowing you down. You ever had one of those credit cards where you're like, oh yeah, 0 interest for a year, 2 years, and you don't pay it off, and then it goes to 24. And now you realize that every month you're paying $300 on that payment, but the balance isn't going down. That's because the interest is killing you. Number three, I want you to ask this question. If something ever happened to you, would your family be protected, right? So many people think about death, but they don't think about some of the other things like catastrophic injuries, like disability, right? Let's say we get disabled. Cool. All right. We got VA disability, but we can't physically work. Do you think your VA disability is going to be enough to pay for your entire life? It's not. And one of the ways around that is we can get life insurance, for example, with a living benefit. We can go into that some other time. Number four, ask yourself, are you building assets like investing, saving, buying things worthwhile with your money, or just consuming? Like, just think about this for when it comes to consuming, right? Everyone has Netflix. Love Netflix. All right, cool. Right? But when I first started Netflix, it was like $8.99. Then it's 10, it's 24. Now I just got to notice it went up to 26. So that's just like another example on how it just keeps going and going and going up. Number five, do you have a written plan for the next 12 months on what you're going to do with your money? Majority of people don't. I was there too, man. And let me tell you, when you plan it out for 12 months, oh my goodness, you're going to make so much progress. You're going to go into 2027 and be like, what the heck? I don't even recognize myself. I'm a total new person. My family's lifestyle, totally different. Man, that's what I'm talking about. And you're going to give thanks to God. It's going to build gratitude. It's going to build your faith. Man, I can't wait to see it for y'all. All right, here's call to action. Just, I'm going to put my contact information, my website on the podcast and a link. Just send me the word analysis, and I'm going to send you my financial overhaul checklist. It's going to help you start it off, help you identify where your money's going, find out where your benefits are being unutilized, and what needs to be fixed. So let's close it off with benefits. They are a blessing, but leadership is the assignment. Stay strong in the Lord and the power of his might. Until next time, God bless.